You're watching 12 WKRC TV, a new generation of news. 12 Newsmakers starts now.
Good morning and welcome to Newsmakers. Last November, a seemingly simple DUI arrest in Clermont County exposed gaping, dangerous holes in the police and court systems designed to protect us from drunken drivers. At the time, Jeff Hirsh prepared a series of reports for 12 News, but felt that no one report gave him the time necessary to fully develop this complex story, and the scattered reports never allowed him to pull everything together. On Newsmakers, we have the time and flexibility. Here is a special extended backgrounder on one dead man driving that raises disturbing questions and frames larger issues at stake.
His name is Charles Jodrey, and if you asked him, he could prove it. He could also prove he's Daniel Murphy, or Larry Pence, or Archer G.
He has no feelings for anybody. He don't care about anybody but himself.
Charles Jodrey has killed a man while driving drunk and served 10 years in prison for it.
I don't think that the guy should be allowed to be out in society anymore.
He has 15 DUIs and dozens of other infractions, including repeatedly driving with a suspended license and repeatedly driving recklessly.
He'll do anything so that he can drink and drive, and I don't know anybody, I haven't come across anybody like this as far as a DUI offender. And the fact that he's killed people in the past and doesn't care, that's another thing that just tells me how horrible this man is and how he needs to be locked up.
But incredibly, Charles Jodrey has been able to keep drinking and keep driving.
I think it's devastating.
How did he slip through the system so many times?
How did a drunken driver like Charles Jodrey slip through the system so often? Well, our 12 News investigation will show you it was incredibly easy. Easy for someone like Jodrey to use other people's names in order to get driver's licenses and even buy cars. In fact, we will show you cracks in the system so big you can not only drive through them, but you can drive through them drunk, over and over again, hurting innocent people in the process.
Charles Jodrey has been a drunk his entire adult life and is no stranger to the courthouse. In 1984, with 7 DUIs already on his record, Jodrey went on trial for killing Martin Ackerman, the father of 3 young children. Police estimated Jodrey was .30, 3 times the legal DUI limit when he crossed the center line on Beachmont Avenue and hit Ackerman head-on.
It was at 5:15, I heard on the radio, and I knew he was going through there at that time. And I just had a feeling it was, I don't know why, I had a feeling it was him.
Jodrey apologized, but insisted the charges were not fair.
Yes, well, it was an accident. Like I say, 2 wrongs don't make a right. He was speeding, and I was in the wrong lane, so 2 wrongs don't make a right.
15 years later, Judge Norbert Nadel is still bothered by Jodrey's attitude.
No, he had absolutely no remorse. Oh yeah, I remember this well. He had absolutely no remorse whatsoever. I mean, he killed a man.
And you had absolutely no regard, or you showed no remorse absolutely for what you did. And at the scene, you thought the thing was a big joke. You thought you were watching television. You were so drunk you could care less.
Just hours before killing Martin Ackerman, Charles Jodrey was charged with DUI in Clermont County, given a court date, and cut loose because police did not know who he really was. Jodrey gave a phony driver's license because his real license was suspended for so many DUIs. It would be a preview of things to come.
He obviously doesn't care about anybody or anything other than himself and his ability to drink and his ability to drive.
Jodrey's 10 years in prison, the maximum for killing Ackerman, ended in 1994. But within weeks, even though his driver's license had been suspended for life, Jodrey was DUI again, the 9th time, and back in jail with another 1-year sentence. It was no surprise.
He's been drinking since he was 17. We've been divorced since '81. And our son was 9 months old when we got a divorce. And he's never been around for his son.
I haven't had a father for 10 years now. And I'm almost ready to graduate this year too. So,
what do you think should be done or can be done?
I think he should stay in jail for the rest of his life.
How old are you?
55.
Address?
ain't got no apartment no more. Probably.
But if Charles Jodrey had destroyed his own family and shattered the Ackerman family, he was about to devastate several others.
I guess the biggest thing is I feel like I'm invaded.
It just brings back terrible memories.
Ask him why he did this, and how he did it.
What Charles Jodrey did began to unravel on Thanksgiving of last year. At 2:29 that morning, in front of Casey's Lounge in Miami Township, a man calling himself Daniel Murphy was arrested for DUI. He even gave a Daniel Murphy driver's license, although he was, in reality, Charles Jodrey.
So the police officer who brought Jodrey here to the jail that Thanksgiving morning figured his prisoner was Daniel Murphy. That's what the paperwork said, that's what the ticket said, that's what the license said, and that's what everybody here at the jail figured, except for one corrections officer.
I looked at the citation, and the name on the citation was Daniel Murphy. Well, I immediately knew that he wasn't Daniel Murphy.
Instead, Becky Feldkamp knew he was someone she grew up with in New Richmond, someone she had not seen in 15 years, but someone she would never forget.
Growing up in a small town, you know, there's not that many people. I mean, you know, if you know somebody, you know them. I always knew him by Crunch, and I believe he got that name from all the accidents that he had been involved in.
If Becky Feldkamp had not been on duty, Daniel Murphy likely would have pled guilty, served his time, and been out. That's what Jodrey, calling himself Murphy, did just 3 months earlier in Milford. That's right, he went through the system in Milford with a phony name, was sentenced, served time, and was gone. Becky Feldkamp prevented that from happening again.
And I went out and I started talking to him, and I asked him if he was Charles Jodrey, and he told me no. And I immediately said, I know who you are, and you are Charles Jodrey.
We're here in the matter of Charles Jodrey.
But if this man is Charles Jodrey, who was Daniel Murphy? After all, the Daniel Murphy driver's license had a Social Security number, which, when a DUI arrest was made, seemed legitimate.
At the time, I ran them, and they came back to Daniel Murphy.
Our 12 News investigation found that Social Security number did belong to Daniel Murphy, Daniel Stephen Murphy, who is buried here in St. Peter's Cemetery in New Richmond, his hometown. The Vietnam veteran was killed in a car crash in 1966 in Clermont County. Daniel Murphy and Charles Jodrey knew each other growing up. With his own license suspended for life, Jodrey took a dead friend's name in order to get another license so he could drink and drive.
The family's been invaded. I think it's pretty despicable, the fact that somebody would do something like that. I'm pretty well outraged about it. I'm upset about it.
There's more. 12 News found that not only did Jodrey use Murphy's name to get a license, he also used it to acquire 2 vehicles within a 3-week period last spring, and he would later get a DUI in each. According to motor vehicle documents, a person calling himself Daniel Murphy came into the Clermont County Auto Title office and had the vehicles transferred to himself.
So he had a driver's license with his picture.
That's correct.
And he had a Social Security number on the driver's license.
That's correct.
And it indicated to you that he was Daniel Murphy.
That's right. We had no way to object it.
The documents show that one vehicle, this red pickup, came from an Indiana couple for no charge. The other papers show came from Jodrey's own sister, Connie, for $100. And there's more. When Jodrey bought his sister's vehicle, not only did Jodrey call himself Daniel Murphy on the auto title, but he also gave a phony address, 1406 Country Lake Drive, Goshen, where we checked it out.
This is 1406 Country Lake?
Yes, it is.
Does a Daniel Murphy live here?
No.
Did a Daniel Murphy ever live here?
No, I've never heard of him.
Which makes sense because the real Daniel Murphy is dead. And as for the car which Jodrey bought from his sister, well, it was once his. He sold it to her in 1996. So the car's path was Charles Jodrey to Connie Jodrey, and Connie Jodrey to Daniel Murphy. In reality, back to Charles Jodrey.
Connie Jodrey would not speak on camera about all of this, but off camera she told me she was not involved in the laundering of cars. She said she had no idea her brother was using the name Daniel Murphy on the auto title transfer. And Connie Jodrey said the only reason she sold her brother the car was so he could resell it in order to make money, not so he could drive illegally under an assumed name.
But this story gets stranger still. Our pursuit down the paper trail found these court documents where a man calling himself Larry Pence was arrested for DUI in Elmwood Place in 1997, pled no contest, and was sentenced to an alcohol treatment program called Turning Point. When Pence failed to complete the program, a warrant was issued for his arrest.
Now, when a warrant like that is issued for somebody's arrest, the Sheriff's Department and the Probation Department try to find him. In this case, they were unable to find Larry Pence, but we found him. He's right here. In fact, he's been in the exact same place the past 32 years.
Larry Pence was killed in a car crash. So was Daniel Murphy. Coincidence? Hardly. Death certificates show Daniel Murphy was killed when a car he was in ran into the rear of a truck obscured by fog on Route 52. The date, October 2nd, 1966. Larry Pence was driving that car which ran into the rear of the fog-obscured truck, October 2nd, 1966. Now Charles Jodrey had taken the names of two dead friends.
I mean, it's awful. Here's a picture of my brother.
Larry Pence was an Army veteran. His sister, Nancy Moore, recently opened a dry cleaning business where we showed her the evidence, her late brother's name and social security number used by Charles Jodrey in order to drink and drive.
You know, it's been a long time ago that this happened, and my sister and I have, you know, we've tried to put this behind us, and to know that he's done this and that he can buy cars and get driver's license and things in someone's name, and he's even gone to a center under my brother's name. It's just, it's devastating that somebody could do something like this.
Not only did he do it in Ohio, but also in Kentucky. Last February, a man calling himself Larry Pence was charged with DUI in Highland Heights. According to police reports, the suspect was, quote, passed out, and after waking up, he could not figure out how to roll the window down. He had to be held onto in order not to fall. As you can see from the ID, the man is Charles Jodrey. Using the name Pence, Jodrey served jail time in Kentucky, was put on probation, and is now being sought for a probation violation.
Something needs to be done with him. I mean, it seems pretty obvious that he's not going to quit drinking and he's not going to quit driving.
You might think this story is just about over, but incredibly, it's not. Because when the Highland Heights police arrested the man they thought was Larry Pence, he gave them two forms of identification, the other with the name Archer G.
It looks like my brother's driver's license. It's got his name, social security number, but it's got Jodrey's picture.
Teresa Watson is Archer G's sister. And who is Archer G? Like Daniel Murphy, like Larry Pence, Archer G was killed in a car crash, this one in 1969. And just like Charles Jodrey, Daniel Murphy, and Larry Pence, Archer G was from New Richmond.
He was a good boy. He was never into nothing, never had no trouble at all. He got married and had a boy, and he just lived a good life.
Archer G lived much of that life growing up right here. Next door, there's a vacant lot, but there used to be a house here, Charles Jodrey's house. Another dead friend's memory Jodrey abused.
My feelings is he should have never been released from jail, and when he gets sentenced this time, he should never walk free again.
Because walking free is something Charles Jodrey has done time after time. Incredibly, on October 31st, 1998, Covington police arrested an Archer G on DUI. He pled guilty, served 2 days, and was ordered to take substance abuse education.
What goes through your mind?
How he slipped through the system so many times.
I can't believe they didn't catch him. I just...
I mean, it was an ongoing thing, it seems like.
As we told you, Charles Jodrey's license was suspended for life after he killed Martin Ackerman. So Jodrey needed other names in order to drive. But ironically, changes in Ohio law made him need lots of names. In October 1996, the DUI law was made tougher. Your fourth DUI in any 6-year period becomes a felony, 1.5 years in jail, and up to a $10,000 fine. So the logic here is simple. The more names you have, the less chances you have of getting arrested 4 times under the same name. So Larry Pence got a DUI on June 15, 1997, another on September 12, 1997, and another on February 7, 1998. Daniel Murphy got one on August 23, 1998, Archer G. October 31st, and Daniel Murphy again November 26th. Clearly a felony for one person, but not a felony if you're three others.
Right now, with aliases and multiple social security numbers and multiple control numbers, we literally don't know who's who.
Even those in charge of the system admit it does not work. Thousands of arrests each year, hundreds of thousands of pages of paperwork, and if someone has convincing ID which says who he is, well then, that's who he is to the courts.
The problem is that nobody is in the system, and there is nobody in the system who has the responsibility to cross-match.
And it's even tougher when you have to cross-match across state lines.
And one of the problems that we have is that the Ohio River is just 2 blocks away. It's difficult getting records between Ohio and Kentucky.
Paul Tweehuse was the Campbell County attorney when Larry Pence was arrested in Highland Heights. The same Larry Pence, actually Charles Jodrey, who was arrested twice before in Ohio.
Like if something happened down in Paducah, I could get the record by a phone call. If it happened in Cincinnati, 3 blocks from here, I'd have difficulty getting it, maybe take 2 weeks to get it.
But while the courts try to figure out who's who, it's easy for people like Charles Jodrey to become somebody else, and somebody else again. Social Security numbers are available from a variety of public records, like death certificates, making it easy to recreate yourself in someone else's name and create the paperwork necessary to get a real driver's license.
Today, with photocopiers and the advent of computer technology, it's amazing what people can do, cut and paste and that sort of thing, and create documents that look real.
And on the count of 3, we take your picture. 1, 2, 3, you smile.
Some improvements are coming. The Bureau of Motor Vehicles says it's now going to change record keeping so they know if somebody's dead. That way, a deceased person's social security number cannot be given out to someone trying to steal that person's identity. And in Hamilton County, at least, the courts, cops, and computer people are working together to make fingerprints the single identifying factor for suspects in their entire journey throughout the system.
In this sort of case, I don't really think could occur again.
But that's at least 1.5 years away. Meantime, Charles Jodrey waits for trial on a 46-count indictment stemming from all the fraudulently used names.
And we're looking to keep him locked up for life, basically, the rest of his life.
Jodrey is not talking. He's in jail awaiting trial and did not respond to our request for an interview. Jodrey did do a jailhouse interview back in 1984 after his conviction in the Ackerman case. He spoke with 12 News reporter Deborah Dixon, and at that time, Jodrey downplayed his long history of one DUI after another.
So I have a drinking problem, yes, I'll admit that.
And that you drink and drive?
Well, there's a lot of people who does that. Has a couple drinks and drives a car.
But you're no different from those people?
I don't think I am, though.
However, the record has proven otherwise. Perhaps the system will be changed to stop future Charles Jodreys, but it seems the only way to stop this one is to keep him off the road.
I think it's terrible. It hurts. It scares me because he could do this again to somebody else. Or, you know, somebody might lose a loved one or a father or daughter or, you know, a wife, whoever it might be.
It's just hard to believe that he would even do something like this.
These people's names that he has used, I mean, let these men rest. Let these men rest.
If that made you mad, stay tuned. After the break, I'll be joined by Jeff Hirsh, a Clermont County Prosecutor, and a representative of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Welcome back. I am now joined by 3 people: 12 News reporter Jeff Hirsh, Tom Scovanner, who is the Assistant Clermont County Prosecutor responsible for trying Charles Jodrey. The trial, by the way, is scheduled to begin in about 2 weeks on March the 8th. Andrea Rehkamp is an active member and the Executive Director of MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Everybody, welcome to Newsmakers. Tom, are we just looking at a unique, very sad, extreme case with Charles Jodrey, or how common is this? How easy is it for repeat DUIs to have multiple identities and keep doing this over and over again?
It's been fairly easy, but it's becoming more difficult. I was at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles just the other day, and they had arrested somebody and they took him away in handcuffs. Not an unusual event anymore as people come in with falsifications. They're looking for it, they're trained for it, and they're trying to take steps to improve their methodology. One of the things they want to do in the future is they want to take fingerprints or do the retinal checks of the eyes. That's something they're discussing. When that'll come on board, we don't know. One thing that they have done is been very helpful in this case is they capture the photographs in the computers now. So we're able to go back and get the photographs when he went in and got licenses, IDs, and we're able to show those to people.
I think there's something like 1,300 DUIs in Ohio, people with 8 DUIs in Ohio. I mean, that's a lot of people just throw into one jail, even if you could. I mean, what can you do to keep these people off the road short of building a jail for 1,300 people? Because if they've got 8, chances are they're going to get 9.
Well, we need help from their family, their friends, their people that know them. People knew that Charles Jodrey was driving cars and knew that he shouldn't have been. We need those people to step forward. Some people do. We do get tips upon occasion. The police get tips upon occasion. We need more of that. We need people to understand the seriousness of this problem. This isn't just a problem. This is a crime that these people are committing, and we need community support to stop this crime.
Andy, you
they were able to catch Jodrey because of the licensing. So many repeat offenders don't have licenses, and they continue to drive, but their family members and friends still continue to provide vehicles for them, and that's a big problem. But many out there are repeat offenders that don't have the license like Jodrey did, and that's a big problem too.
Is this, alcoholism obviously is a huge issue. We can't necessarily sum it up in a couple of minutes, but do you feel sorry for somebody who gets drunk over and over again, or are they just flat out evil?
I don't know that they're flat out evil, and I don't know, and I'm sure that we can feel sorry for some of them, or some people can, but when they go to the extent or the lengths that Charles Jodrey did to continue to drink and drive, many people will do that. They have no regard for you or for me, the court system, or anybody else. They're going to drink and drive no matter what. The only thing you could do is keep them incarcerated so they don't have the opportunity.
We've talked about a number of things that have changed. Tom brought up some reforms that have been done. What does MAD think of the reforms that have been accomplished so far, and what's still on the plate? What would you like to see happen?
We would like to see zero tolerance for repeat offenders, and some states have that. The first time, if you're caught drunk, you can have a .10. The second time, it's if you get caught with any alcohol in your system, you're considered a repeat offender. The license plates that indicate that you are a drunk driving offender, special facilities, longer sanctions, because many times people that are convicted of repeat offenses of drunk driving are still given the minimum penalty that's required by law, and it needs to be taken as a serious offense. Repeat drunk drivers normally don't see themselves as having a problem. They see themselves as they don't think drunk driving is a serious problem. They continue to drink and drive. They're more aggressive. They're more hostile. They do all of the things that they're going to do to continue to be on the roadway.
We see that was brought up in the piece that across the river, just across the river, it takes a long time. There's not coordination between Kentucky and Ohio, and then you've got different counties with different systems. Is there any way in the reasonable future that these systems can be tied together? Or is somebody, if they got 10 DUIs and they just move up to Cleveland, you never hear about them. Or if they move a mile across the river, it starts all over again. Can we make these systems work better?
I think they do work better than was shown earlier. We've got certified copies of convictions within a week from Northern Kentucky. I talked with the officers that made the arrests. It's not really a problem for me in this case. I don't anticipate it to be a problem in the future because law enforcement's looking at this as a serious problem now. 10, 15 years ago, they might not have considered it a serious problem, and there might not have been the cooperation that we have now. But the education that's gone on in society has really made a difference.
But on the other hand, and we only have about a minute, but on the other hand, Jodrey, a repeat many times, even under some of these other names, he's got arrested, he spent 2 days in jail, and he's released. I mean, yes, we're taking it more seriously, but how much more seriously?
Not enough as far as the punishment. They may prosecute them, but all too often cases are reduced or judges give minimum penalties. There's a big problem with jail overcrowding, and they keep offenders in jail that are less likely to create violence and go out and kill someone than a drunk driver.
Tom, we only have about 30 seconds left. You're going to go to trial March the 8th.
Yes.
What do you hope comes out of that?
I hope a conviction, and I hope we keep him locked up literally for the rest of his life.
Is that possible?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jeff, for preparing this wonderful report focusing on this. So thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you for making Newsmakers a part of your Sunday morning. Join us again next Sunday for an interview with Jack Rouse, the man leading the latest effort to pull together a comprehensive vision for the Cincinnati riverfront. Have a good week.